Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into, well, kind of a blueprint for creative success in the modern age.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
We're looking at someone who didn't just stick to one thing. He mastered stand-up comedy, then created and starred in his own sitcom, and then moved behind the camera as a successful director.
Quite the trajectory.
Exactly. So our mission today is to trace the path of Steve Byrne. We want to understand how he took that raw stage talent, turned it into, huge TV success, and then made that final pivot to directing.
Where you have the ultimate creative control.
Right. This isn't just his life story. It's kind of a lesson, really. A lesson in how you build a career across different media.
And when you look at the sources, it's clear this wasn't just luck. It feels very strategic, very deliberate.
Momentum.
Yeah, strategic momentum.
Yeah.
He's the definition of a multi-hyphenate. That term gets thrown around a lot, maybe too much.
Exactly.
But for Byrne, born July 21, 1974, it absolutely fits. He starts with stand-up, that really pure solo art form, and then he scales it. He brings in collaboration writing, acting in TV and film, and finally he takes the lead, directing, shaping the whole vision.
So we're tracking this evolution, how he used that stage persona, really, as currency in Hollywood and well beyond.
Precisely. A meticulous path.
Okay, let's dive in. To really get his voice, we've got to start at the beginning, right? The roots, the early life, and that initial hustle, the New York comic grind. Let's start with geography and culture, because those seem absolutely crucial to his material later on.
They really are the twin engines, as you put it.
So, born in Freehold, New Jersey, that's Monmouth County. But he didn't stay there long, did he?
No, the formative years were elsewhere. He actually grew up mostly in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Went to Hampton High School there.
So you get this interesting mix, that East Coast start, but then this, Pittsburgh, maybe more Midwest sensibility.
Right. And that geographic blend is interesting, sure. But the real core of his comedy, the thing that makes his perspective unique, is that bicultural background.
The heritage.
Exactly. The sources all point to this. His mother is Korean and his father is Irish.
Which is pretty foundational for his act.
Profoundly important. It gives him this immediate way to talk about stereotypes, race, all that stuff from a place that's both inside and outside at the same time.
He has a younger brother too, William.
He does. But it's really that specific Korean-Irish mix that fueled so much of his observational stuff. Taking these two, distinct cultural histories, often loaded with stereotypes.
And merging them into one, American story.
Yeah, a relatable one.
And before he even hit the stage, he did the college thing, Kent State University in Ohio.
Right.
I find that interesting. It suggests maybe a certain discipline, a structured approach that seems almost opposite to the chaos of starting out in comedy in New York City.
It does suggest a methodical side, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe he needed that structure because, jumping into the NYC comedy scene back then, pure chaos.
So how did he get his first taste?
He was working at Caroline's Comedy Club in New York.
Ah, Caroline's. Legend.
Right. So he's not just working. He's absorbing everything. Watching the pros, the newcomers, night after night. It's like an apprenticeship by immersion.
And we know the exact date he started performing.
We do. September 30, 1997. Stand-up New York.
Oh.
That's when the clock started ticking on his stage career.
Okay, and this is where that discipline maybe meets just sheer hard work.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the 13 or Bust Challenge, 2003.
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't just doing a bunch of sets. It felt like a stunt, like a self-made marketing campaign.
It absolutely was. And it was crucial. It helped him stand out from, the huge number of comics trying to make it in New York then.
So the challenge became a documentary, 13 or Bust.
Yep. And he broke the record. Most sets by a comedian in one night. 13 shows.
13 across Manhattan.
Every single viable comedy club in Manhattan. Just think about the logistics for a second.
It's insane.
It's not just performing 13 times. It's getting across town, dealing with traffic, maybe rush hour.
Different crowds every time.
Totally different crowds. Drunk, sober, tourists, industry people. 13 different sound checks, maybe. Adapting your material on the fly. Right. All running on, adrenaline and probably terrible coffee.
So what's the point? Beyond just, saying you did it, it sounds exhausting.
Well, it serves a few purposes strategically. First, it's like proof to bookers. Look, I'm relentless. I show up. I can handle any room.
Okay, reliability.
And second, it creates this instant story for a documentary.
Yeah.
Gives them a product, something tangible. It screams dedication, right? Willingness to do the absolute most.
Punishing lengths, yeah.
That kind of stunt, it's how you go from being just another local comic to someone people nationally start talking about.
And it worked, because that buzz translated pretty quickly into, like, real cable TV milestones. Comedy Central took notice.
Immediately. In 2006, he gets the Comedy Central Presents half-hour special. That's a huge deal for a comic back then.
And it did well, right? Fans voted it, 17th most popular in some showdown?
Yeah, so it connected. And 2006 was a big year. Besides the special, he also did a show for Comedy Central and the Troops at a Fort Irwin.
Ah, okay. So showing versatility early on.
Exactly. 2 tracks, connects with the audience, and the network trusts him enough to send him out to represent them. He wasn't just hot, he was becoming reliable.
And the specials kept coming after that.
Yeah, confirming he was a headliner. You got the 1-hour special, Steve Byrne's Happy Hour. That was 2008. Then the Byrne Identity in 2010.
And then, crucially, he adapted as the market changed. His 3rd hour, Champion, that went to Netflix in 2014.
Right.
That seems like a really smart move. Reading the room, basically. Why stick with cable if everyone's moving to streaming?
Exactly. Making that jump from Comedy Central, which was like the traditional home for stand-up, to Netflix in 2014, that was a major strategic play.
Because Netflix was blowing up for comedy specials then.
Totally. It was becoming the platform. Global reach, often better production. It showed he wasn't stuck in the old ways. He was putting himself where the eyeballs were shifting.
And that wider streaming audience. That probably helped lay the groundwork for his later stuff, right? Directing and all that.
Absolutely. It kept him relevant on the platform that was defining careers in the mid-2010s and beyond.
Okay, so we've got the delivery system, the specials, the platforms. Let's talk about the actual comedy, his style. It seems pretty versatile, but how does he cover so much ground and still sound like, well, Steve Byrne?
That's the key, isn't it? The sources label his stuff as observational, character comedy, and also black comedy.
Okay, let's pause on black comedy. Because that term, especially given his background, we need to be specific about what that means here.
Right, critical distinction. When we say black comedy here, it's not about race in the performer sense. It's the genre definition, finding humor in difficult, disturbing, morbid subjects.
Like death, war.
Or in Byrne's case, things like racism, prejudice, social tension. He's good at it because he uses that unique Korean-Irish lens to kind of dissect these really sensitive topics.
Gotcha. So observational is the stuff rooted in his life, family, relationships, the usual suspects, but through his specific filter. Character comedy lets him play with personas, maybe comment on pop culture stereotypes. But the black comedy part, that's where maybe the heavier, more thoughtful stuff comes in.
Precisely. His range of subjects is huge, but it always seems to come back to insights drawn from his specific background.
Yeah.
Korean-American culture, Irish-American culture. He uses that intersection to talk about race more broadly.
It lets him tackle stereotypes without maybe being preachy.
Yeah, often with self-deprecation. Because it's his experience, right? So when he talks about relationships or sex or whatever, it feels authentic. It's filtered through this experience of juggling 2 big cultural identities in America today.
And that makes the really specific stuff feel universal somehow.
Yeah.
Because everyone deals with identity navigation.
Exactly. That tension is relatable.
And this successful comedy formula fueled a lot of touring. We should definitely highlight the USO tours. That feels like a different level of commitment.
It really does. It's not just another gig. He went to Afghanistan in June 2008, and then again in 2010.
Wow, twice.
And Japan and Guam in July 2009. That's a serious undertaking, logistically and emotionally, I imagine. It shows a consistent commitment beyond just, career moves.
Yeah, it feels like a sign of maturity, maybe, character.
I think so.
No.
Performing for troops, especially in tough spots, needs a certain kind of material. Has to be pretty clean, universal, uplifting. You can't just do your edgy club set.
Forces you to connect differently.
Right. Sharpens your tools. Meanwhile, back home, he was chasing the big commercial tours, too. Summer 2011, he's on the New Majority Tour.
With some huge names.
Massive names. Lisa Lampanelli, Gabriel Iglesias, Russell Peters. That puts him right in the arena circuit. Big time.
Okay, let's talk strategy again. These tours weren't always just about stand-up, were they? Sometimes they were promotional?
Definitely. Integration into the Hollywood machine. Like early 2011, he tours with Vince Vaughn and Kevin James.
Right. The Comedy Roadshow.
Yeah, and it was explicitly to promote their movie, The Dilemma. So you see this blending. The purity of the road comic meets the transactional nature of Hollywood promotion.
That's a huge leverage point, right? Being on a tour promoted by movie stars?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
An endorsement opens doors. It signals he's not just a funny comic, he's marketable, reliable, someone producers notice.
So he's maintaining the stand-up cred while getting on the radar of the big players.
Exactly. And he was collaborating with peers, too. Toured with the Kims of comedy, Bobby Lee, Ken Jeong, supporting Asian American talent. And later he toured with his Sullivan and Son co-stars, Owen Benjamin, Ahmed Ahmed, Roy Wood Jr., using the show's success to fuel more live gigs in 2015. Smart synergy.
But the thing that really blows my mind, flexibility-wise, is who he opened for musically.
Oh, the list is wild.
It's stunning. Like, there's no obvious connection between these acts. He opened for Kanye West.
Right.
And Mariah Carey on her Charm Bracelet tour.
Okay, huge pop acts.
Then completely different vibe. Modest Mouse, Puddle of Mud, Spoon, Reverend Horton Heat, Kings of Leon.
It's incredible. What a professional flex, like you said. Think about the challenge there.
Totally different crowds.
Completely.
Yeah.
Opening for Kanye, high-energy audience,
Yeah.
expecting pop culture savvy, maybe some swagger,
Yeah.
loud, excited, probably pretty affluent.
Okay. Now put him in front of Modest Mouse fans.
Totally different world. Younger, maybe, more cynical, way more into irony, indie cred, probably way less patient with broad mainstream jokes.
You absolutely cannot do the same 5 minutes for both. How do you even adapt that quickly?
It demands this mastery of observational stuff that's fundamentally relatable but still sharp. For the pop acts, maybe go bigger, more universal topics, relationships, travel.
Okay.
For the indie crowds like Modest Mouse or Spoon, you probably lean into the slightly subversive stuff, the black comedy elements, cultural commentary with an ironic edge, maybe self-deprecating. That kind of clicks with their outside the mainstream vibe.
So the fact he could pull this off with such different artists.
It proves his core skill, connecting with any crowd. That's his most valuable asset, really. Universal appeal wrapped in a very specific personal package.
Okay, so Byrne's established himself. One of the most reliable, versatile touring comics out there. The logical next step, leverage that road cred into, well, Hollywood proper, structured success.
And he started with film roles. Small parts, maybe, but instantly working within that established A-list comedy network.
Yeah, he jumped right in with people who could actually make things happen. He was in the goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard. That starred Jeremy Piven.
And produced by Will Ferrell. Huge. That puts him right on the radar of the big comedy production houses.
Then quickly after, more big movies. 4 Christmases. That was Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon.
Right.
In Couples Retreat, again with Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau.
That Vince Vaughn connection seems really important here.
Definitely. Vaughn's known for having a tight circle, right? Was the strategy just be reliable, be available in that circle?
I think absolutely. Vaughn was super influential in comedy around that time, late 2000s. Touring with him, being in his movies that builds trust, rapport.
It's more than just acting gigs, it's high-level networking.
Exactly. These roles cemented him as someone who could handle scripted stuff, hold his own with movie stars. It wasn't just stand-up anymore.
And that exposure, that trust, that was basically the runway for his biggest move yet, Sullivan and Son.
Yeah, the defining transition moment. He goes from comic and actor to essentially a creative executive.
Because he created, wrote, and starred in it for TBS.
Right. Working with Rob Long, a veteran producer.
From Cheers, right.
Yeah. And that partnership tells you a lot. It was super strategic. Byrne brings the unique concept, the Korean mom, Irish dad, taking over the family bar in Pittsburgh. His specific voice.
And Long brings the sitcom mechanics.
Exactly. The structure, the know-how to actually run a multi-cam show week after week. Byrne's the vision. Long's the experienced hand on the wheel. You need both for a network sitcom.
And it worked. It leaned into a familiar format, but felt fresh. Premiered summer 2012.
Ran 3 seasons. Finished up after the summer 2014 run.
Let's talk numbers. Averaging 2.4 million viewers an episode on TBS back then. What does that really mean?
Strategically, that's a huge win for cable in 2012-2013. Broadcast ratings were already sliding. Cable nets like TBS needed stable, maybe slightly traditional comedies to anchor their nights.
And Sullivan and Son fit the bill.
Perfectly. It had that comfy multicam feel viewers recognize, like Cheers or Seinfeld, but infused with Byrne's specific modern biracial humor, familiar and fresh.
And its success proved he could do more than just a stand-up hour.
Right. It proved he could translate his voice into that collaborative, structured 22-minute format, which is a totally different and arguably much harder skill set.
And while he was running the show, he was still everywhere on TV, right? Maintaining visibility. Like the Tonight Show appearances, 10 times.
Remarkable, isn't it? 10 times on the biggest late-night show. That signals incredible trust and reliability. You know he's going to deliver a solid set every time, fitting that broadcast structure.
So even as a showrunner, people didn't forget he was a top touring comic.
Exactly. Kept that primary identity strong.
Then his other TV appearances were just all over the map, which seems smart.
Totally. Targeting different audiences. You see him on, like, the iconic Chappelle Show. Then the more intellectual panel on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn.
And then later the game show at midnight.
Yeah, it's a saturation strategy.
Yeah.
Being on Tough Crowd shows, he can handle sharp, witty debate. Being on BT Ty's Comic View or Mad TV, hits diverse comedy fans.
History of the Joke on the History Channel shows he knows the craft's background.
And he was trying new things, too. Shot a pilot for G4, Drunken Businessman, based on a Japanese game show, won that MySpace stand-up contest on TBS.
MySpace.
Right. It shows he was putting himself out there everywhere. People were watching broadcasts, cable, early online stuff. Platform diversification 101.
Okay, so he's kind of maxed out his potential as a performer, writer within that sitcom world. The final pivot, maybe the most ambitious, getting behind the camera, directing.
We carry the whole vision, yeah.
His first big directing project was that documentary, Always Amazing, in early 2018.
And that's a huge shift. Directing a doc, especially about another performer, the amazing Jonathan, the magician-comedian.
Vegas legend.
Right. It shows a real interest in narrative structure beyond his own life. He had to craft a story around someone else's complex kind of wildlife. He goes from being the subject to the interpreter.
A doc seems like a smart first step into directing film. Maybe more manageable budget-wise, more intimate. But the big question, did it work? Did it get noticed outside the comedy bubble?
It absolutely did, which really validated that pivot. It wasn't just a little side project. It got critical recognition on the festival circuit.
Oh, really? Like what?
It won Best Documentary Film at the Sydney Liftoff Festival, got a special mention at the LA Liftoff Festival, screened at places like Vancouver just for Laughs Film Fest, All Things Comedy Fest.
Okay, so legit festivals.
Yeah, that kind of recognition is key. It tells the industry, hey, his skills translate. He gets pacing, visuals, emotional arcs. It proves he can connect with critics and audiences, not just stand-up crowds.
And then he released it for free on YouTube in 2019.
Smart move. Maximum eyeballs. Gets his directing credit out there widely.
So building on that success, he moves to a narrative feature film, The Opening Act. And what's interesting here is he goes back to his roots for the story.
Right, but applying these new skills.
He wrote the script while he was still touring heavily, 2017, 2018.
Yeah, translating those raw, early stand-up experiences, the stuff we talked about earlier, into a proper 3-act movie structure. It's semi-autobiographical about those first struggles. Released October 16th, 2020.
And he didn't just write it. He did the whole multi-hyphenate thing again. Writer, director. No, was he acting in it too?
Yep, writer, director, actor, full creative control.
Okay, what's the challenge there? Directing a film based on your own life. And what does that signal about where he was creatively?
I think the challenge is detachment, right? When it's that personal, you might be too precious with it. Directing yourself means you have to step back, look at your own story, your performance, objectively. Make sure the film language serves the story, not just your memory.
And what it signals?
I think it signals a real desire for autonomy. After doing a network sitcom like Sullivan and Son, with all the collaboration, the notes, the compromises.
Yeah, the realities of TV.
Directing The Opening Act let him completely control the tone, the pace, the final product.
Yeah.
It feels like the ultimate independent artistic statement.
But even while he's deep in filmmaking, he still kept touring, right? Like opening for the Tenderloins, the Impractical Jokers guys, in 2017.
That's strategically brilliant. You can't just disappear into the editing room for years.
You need to stay connected.
The touring circuit is that constant feedback loop. It's where you test ideas, sharpen timing, and honestly, it probably helps pay the bills for independent projects like The Opening Act. Being able to switch from directing a scene in a dark room to telling jokes in a huge arena, it just shows mastery of both worlds, the structured film world and the immediate high-energy live world. The roads, his creative gym, keeps him sharp.
Let's just quickly touch on the personal side, because balancing all this professional intensity, you need some stability, right? The sources say he's married, has 2 kids.
Yeah, and that family anchor feels pretty crucial context for some of these moves.
Like the move to California initially in 2016.
Right. That was obviously partly a career move, closer to the action. But the sources hint that being closer to family was a big motivator, too, balancing Hollywood demands with family life.
And then a really interesting shift in 2020. He moves the family again from L.A. all the way to Nashville.
Which is not the traditional path for someone established in Hollywood.
No, it feels like a strategic step away from the center.
It's a very modern choice, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially post-2020. Nashville's become this hub for creatives. You get good flight access for touring, maybe better quality of life, less of that daily LA pressure cooker.
So for a director, writer whose projects might be indie financed or streamed, you don't need to be in LA every day.
Not necessarily. Being in Nashville could offer more creative breathing room. It might signal he's focusing more on writing, touring, maybe directing or producing remotely using tech.
Instead of chasing that traditional network development cycle in LA.
Exactly. It feels like the move of someone established, thinking about long-term sustainability and maybe lifestyle, rather than constant industry proximity. #outro.
So when you wrap it all up, what does this whole journey tell us about building a career, staying relevant in entertainment today? We started with that raw, physical proof, the 13 or bust thing, proving stage mastery.
The foundation.
That led to the disciplined, structured success of Sullivan and Son, a real cable hit, 3 seasons.
Proving he could work within the system.
And then the final pivot to directing, always amazing, the opening act, taking full control.
Creative autonomy.
Steve Byrne's career, it's not just a list of jobs, it feels like an instruction manual. How a comic can take a really unique voice, that Korean-Irish background, and apply it successfully across incredibly different demanding fields.
Yeah, what really stands out is how he used the specifics of his background, the tension in it, to create something universally relatable. That creative core stayed solid no matter the medium.
Whether it was stand-up or directing a film.
Right. The goal seemed consistent. Tell stories about identity, culture, making the deeply personal connect widely. He understood that his specific story was his strength.
Great points. Okay, so we'll leave you, the listener, with something to chew on. Thinking about creative sustainability. When you see a career like this, constant reinvention, stand-up to showrunner to director, it makes you wonder about creative energy, doesn't it? What's ultimately more demanding? Is it the pressure on a top comedian to constantly generate brand new material year after year, a whole fresh hour for the stage? That's the relentless demand of stand-up.
Which is intense.
Or is the bigger challenge taking those ideas and successfully translating them into these structured, collaborative, long-haul projects, show running, directing feature films, which requires totally different muscles, leadership, technical skills.
Right.
So that pivot, is it like an escape valve from the unique pressure cooker of stand-up? Or is it just swapping one kind of creative fire for another, maybe equally intense, different, something to think about?